How's it going? Welcome back to the channel, guys. And I believe this is going to be the most exciting and definitely the most fun video we have done yet on my 2025 Nissan Frontier Pro X, because we're going to be throwing some sound into this. And what I mean by that is exhaust sound. And I believe this truck, out of all the midsize trucks, should sound the best because it's got a really cool naturally aspirated 3.8 liter V6 in it. And yeah, I'm kind of on the fence about throwing exhaust systems on a V6, but if they sound good and it fits the style of truck, being a mid-size truck, I say go for it, because there's nothing more fun than hearing a really nice engine going down the road. And we're gonna see what we can do, and we are going to do this on a budget, guys, because they do sell slap-on exhaust system, catback exhaust systems for this truck that do sound great, but they get up there in price, and I'm talking 1,000 plus, and we're not gonna spend that. So fortunately, I have a sponsor for the channel now, and they sent me out a couple different mufflers. So we're gonna be able to test out some sound comparisons. And of course, I got these sent out for free, so very budget friendly. But if you guys wanna buy these, I've got a discount code for you. And all of this pretty much together is probably gonna cost under $100 or close to that after you get a discount, because these mufflers already are under $100, and then you throw a discount on there, and who knows, you might have some pipes sitting around that you could weld up. You might already have your welder. In this case, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do it on a budget, and we're also gonna use a very basic tool. So I have the least expensive, or one of the least expensive, Harbor Freight welders, and I've been practicing. In fact, I welded up the exhaust on my Porsche 944 recently, and that came out absolutely amazing. And I've done a few other projects exhaust related since then, and have really started to enjoy welding, and I'm gonna take advantage of that with this project. So I've already got up underneath this truck, and it's a pretty simple exhaust system, but it is kind of a tiny pipe. I believe it's 2 1/8 based on the measurement. So it's what I have here is a caliper, and unfortunately the digital side of it doesn't work, but we've got 54 millimeters, or 53.5 to 54 reading up underneath there when I measured it. And these here are 2 1/4 inch adapters, which I'm gonna be able to clamp down. And I think these are 60, yeah, right at 60 millimeters once I measured those. And we've got 2.5 inch on these, because we're going to a 2.5 inch muffler here. Now, let me explain to you exactly what we're going to be doing, because originally the company Evil Energy, who's the one that sponsored this, iEvilEnergy.com is their website. They sent me out these two mufflers based on what I told them, and I kind of messed it up a little bit, because I was hoping that my inlets were going to be on this dual side, and what they sent me on this Super 44 which is probably the one we're going to go with, because I don't want it to be crazy loud, but I did want to test out, this is called the Super 10 here, a much louder muffler. But I was hoping that we could go from the dual, which comes off the car, down into the single, just like the stock muffler does. But I ended up rethinking it, because the Super 10 is a single in, single out. Instead of throwing 2 of these on there, I said, why don't I just get a Y pipe? We can adapt that. So I got a 2.5 inch in, 2.5 inch dual out, or in or out, however you want to say it. And so what we're going to do is we're going to butt this up and eventually weld it. But for right now, what I'm going to do is weld our adapter on here, and that will go right over the pipe coming in there. When we get underneath the truck, you'll see what I'm doing here. It kind of comes in this direction and has a weird angle on it. So I got a little bit of a flex pipe, and I think that's going to work based on me getting underneath there. And so this is probably what we're going to start with and go from there. So what I need to do, and this is kind of the tricky part, because this is my daily, this is what I drive every day, this is what I use to pick up things. I've got to cut the stock muffler off, and then make sure all of this is going to fit into place, and then we can start tacking up, put it back under there, see if it's going to fit into place. And once we get it all welded up, we can then place our mufflers up to it and kind of see how they sound. And then we'll have to actually weld or get an adapter to go onto the muffler. And I think what I want to do is just weld this directly onto the muffler here, weld these pieces onto the Y pipe, and then clamp here because of just how it's going to fit. This way, if I ever want to go back stock, it's really not a difficult thing. I can hold the muffler, hold all of the piping, and just weld it right back into place. One more thing, I know I kind of put a lot out there, is I want to have it, it's going to end right about here once I stick the muffler on, or somewhere in this vicinity. So I was thinking, how cool would it be if we can somehow adapt a dual out here with some black tips on it. I just don't know with this step here if that's gonna fit correctly, or if we can cut out this step, or maybe cut off a piece of this step. I don't know if I want to go that route and modify this, but we will figure something out. This video, I'm just gonna get the mufflers up in there, see how it sounds. And honestly, I think it will improve performance just because we're getting rid of a lot of the smaller pipe, because all the pipe that comes back here, there's a resonator, a big muffler, and that should free up some of our flow. One of the last things is I saw a video where a guy got an amazing sound out of this truck. I absolutely loved it. And he used equal length pipe. So what that means is, actually, let me get up underneath here real quick to explain that. So if you see, our muffler pipes coming down are completely different lengths. So he ended up equaling out the length of those pipes. So this one here, you can see, has a ton of length to it compared to this one. I'm not 100% sure exactly how he did. I have to go back and see, but that had a lot to do with the sound that he got that I really, really liked. It has that Nissan Z sound to it, but different. It's very hard to explain, but it is exactly what I'm hoping to get close to. So right now, we are just gonna get these mufflers on here so I can kind of show you what you can do on a budget, specifically for sound, not as much performance. And then we're gonna keep modifying it as we go. So eventually I would like to get that equal length pipe on here, some thicker pipe on here, and make this a very custom exhaust. But I need to make sure that I like the muffler we're gonna be putting in there. So we're gonna test these out and see how they sound. So guys, let's jump into it and get started. Let's get these mufflers cut off where we need to cut them, and see if we can get these pipes mocked up and everything put in. All right, guys, so I got everything mapped out. I hope I can get the right angles for you, but what I'm gonna do is put an exhaust hanger like this on both sides of the pipe, because I'm gonna be cutting the pipe right about here and right about here. And the reasoning is the spacing is a little bit larger than my Y pipe. So it's gonna go something like, yeah, hopefully I can get the angle like that, and it's gonna go on like that. Now, what I'm gonna do is remove this hanger here. So right in the middle, there's a hanger, and that's gonna allow me to run my pipes right down that middle. And I can do a double hanger, one on each side, with a bolt right through that frame right there. It is hollow on the other side, so I can actually drill a hole up in here and then put a bolt through and a nut on the other side. That way I can really secure both of these exhaust pipes up there. And like I said, my goal is to rebuild this entire pipe system, whether I do it or an exhaust shop does it. I want to figure out how to do the equal length coming off of here. As you can see, there's a much longer pipe coming down here. Now, the great thing is all of these are attached with your pipe connectors here. And I'm gonna do the same thing along this part right here. So where I connect here, and that way I can easily take off the entire muffler. But by putting these two hangers, I can leave my muffler right in the middle until I decide exactly how, if I can, do a side X exhaust, because I think that's going to be really, really cool. It's going to sound great, and it's going to make this truck very unique, because I have not seen that yet. I'm sure somebody's going to do it if they haven't already, but it's going to have a really unique look to it, and I think I may just have to modify our steps here, because I do not want to take these off. And I'm just going to look at that once we get to that. So right now what I'm going to do is get the pipes cut, get everything kind of mocked up into place. I've already went ahead and welded this piece on. I'm going to go ahead and weld this piece on now. And it is necessary to have this flex, like I said, because the distance between these two pipes is a little bit greater than the way that this Y pipe comes together. So I'm going to need to flex this over to our other pipe, and that should make it work perfectly. So let me go ahead and get all this welded up. get these pipes placed in place and tighten up the clamps, and then we can check out our muffler sound. I'm also going to show you guys what no muffler sounds like, so almost straight pipes, but with cats. And then I'll show you guys what each muffler sounds like going through this Y pipe and into the muffler. Okay guys, so I think I have everything planned out exactly where I'm gonna cut, exactly how I'm gonna add hangers, and where I'm going to put the Y pipe as well as the muffler. So went ahead and welded up our fittings on here. Obviously not the prettiest welds ever, but I'm still learning. And ironically, I actually welded this onto here first, had to cut it off. I don't know, it's been a long day. And so this is like double welded on there, but it is on there really well, and from what I see, there is no holes or gaps, and I still fill it with a little bit of muffler paste so it doesn't have any leaks. This Y pipe is, yeah, it's gonna go like so. So it's gonna be cut, and gonna have some pipe hangers, pipe clamps, I mean, right there where we cut it. We're gonna slide these two pieces onto each pipe, and that will end right where our muffler is now. And of course, I'm gonna have to remove the hanger that's there now. So that's just put in with 2 bolts, and we'll hang on to that just in case we wanna add it back on later. And we'll cut our pipes so that we can weld this muffler back on if I wanna do that in the future. Don't see that happening unless I sell this truck and somebody wants the stock muffler. So we'll cut these off, hold on to all these pipes. And for right now, like I said, we're gonna end it right where it ends, but this will allow us to hear what it sounds like, kind of straight pipe. It's still gonna have cats. And then with the Super 10 and the Super 44, which I think I'm gonna be going Super 44 because it's gonna be much quieter than that Super 10, but also still have a nice raspy growl to it. Well guys, that may have looked like a little bit of struggle, but I'm gonna tell you, this thing came out so easily. This whole thing slid apart. It's held in with like a sleeve right here, which is kind of cool. Loosen that bolt and just kind of put my foot up on it, and it separated really nicely. Now, when I was cutting this, I had some really bad angles, so some of the cuts were not great, and that's where I was getting the struggle from. But once I got it cut, it looks like it's gonna be very easy. Like, I already put the piece on here, but it's gonna be very easy to clean up those cuts. So I'm gonna grind that all down, clean up those cuts, and obviously paint some of the surfaces that we scratched up on the frame. But we have some great ways of mounting this. I mean, I've got, once I put my muffler up, I've got a piece of the frame where the bigger muffler, the Super 44, will end right here, and I can actually clamp up both ends of that Super 44, so that'll be nice and tucked up under there if we go with that. Now it's time to hear what this thing kind of sounds like straight pipes. And I gotta be honest, I started it up because I may run into a problem where I've got to drive this truck tomorrow to work. Today's Thursday, tomorrow's Friday, and this is my daily. I did make sure my van over there worked just in case, but it does not sound that loud. It just really sounds undefined. So let's go ahead and start it up so I can show you guys what kind of sound you would get straight piping this thing. And as you guys heard there, it's not crazy loud. Probably would have some drone on the highway and definitely sound on refined. So let's go ahead, which I already did, and throw our Super 10 on there. And that kind of fits up in there nicely. Now, I have not clamped things down tightly, so there might be a little bit of leaks, but we'll get a good idea of what it would sound like. So let me go ahead and start it up and rev it. All right, so let's go ahead and hear the Super 44, which is what I am most excited about. I think it's gonna give us the most refined sound. Now, it is barely up in there, but I've got it clamped down the best I can without fully installing it. So let's go ahead and hear this. So I decided to go ahead and high heat black paint the rest of the muffler where we welded it all together, and I also welded the muffler to the Y pipe. So everything is welded together here. All we're gonna do is clamp, and you can see I put slits in the top of the pipes so we can clamp those over the stock pipe. So that should fit on there real nicely because these are already pretty snug. There's only like 4 millimeter gap when I measured everything on the pipe. So once we clamp it down, we should be all sealed off, and painting it black actually covered up some of my crappy welds, but keep in mind, I'm getting better and better. I'm very excited about the way it came out at the very end. I was getting some really nice puddling, some really nice flow, and I really feel like I'm getting the hang of this. And the nice thing is I don't think I have any holes or leaks. So this should sound even better when we get it all hooked up, and I'm excited to take this thing for a drive. So stay tuned, we're about to do that. So guys, I've had about a week to drive this truck around with the exhaust setup exactly as you saw, which is right up under here. And I put in as many sound clips as I could to give you guys an idea of how bad the actual drone is while driving around with it set up the way it is. On a positive note, I've got to say that this muffler setup, the Super 44, is by far my favorite sounding muffler I've heard on this truck. And I think it has such a cool sound, specifically in person. It's a low rumble, and then it has that kind of low rumble pitch to it when you give it throttle. But when you're on the highway with this setup, like I said, it's just very, very droney. So I've got some ideas. We may resonate it. We may do a couple other things just to test out. But the next video, I've ordered in some really cool stuff, and I'm excited to show you guys some of the ideas I have. And yes, we're definitely going to be putting something out the side exit here. And I haven't seen that yet on this truck, so I'm pretty excited about that. But that brings this video to an end. I really hope this kind of helped you guys out there. If you're thinking about throwing a muffler on here, thinking about doing a catback exhaust, some of the other options. Very inexpensive way of doing it, getting your own muffler, recreating the way the muffler goes in there and just having some fun with it. Like I said, that welder was like 150 bucks on sale. So even if you decide to jump into this and weld it yourself, kind of learn some skills, you're not gonna spend a ton of money, way less than even a catback exhaust system. So with that said, you guys have an awesome day, a blessed week, and I'll catch you on the next video.